Well, welcome back to the second hour of LoveBabz, Love Talk on Babz Rawls-Ivy. I'm delighted this morning. I have more guests. I've got Jessie Kindig, who is the senior editor of Humanities at the Yale University Press, and Keegon Schuett, who is getting a big doggone award over at the drama school, Yale, the whole thing. And his play, This Dry Spell, won an award at the Yale Drama Series, the prize for which he's getting awarded on October 25th. He will be honored at a reception, uh, and you get a $10,000 check, which is nice. Unmute yourself. So Keegon is one of these uber talented people that's a playwright, a filmmaker, a performance artist, and you're from Memphis.
I sure am.
How do you fit all that in
I
your life? How do you do it all?
it's crowded, but it's fun. I prefer to be interdisciplinary and do a little bit of everything. I think life's too short to do just one thing. Got to pick up a paintbrush and a camera sometimes, and also shake a leg, as best we can.
Now, are you in Memphis? Are you in Tennessee now? Or are you here in Connecticut or somewhere on the East Coast?
I'm actually in Chicago, and I'll be in Connecticut later today.
All
Woo!
right.
For the very first time. I'm so excited. I've never been.
You've never been?
Never been. I'm so excited to bring my little cactus play all the way to Connecticut.
So Jesse, you know what this means, right, Jesse? You have to make sure he gets pizza here. Like that's your
I
job.
know, I do. We'll have to take them out.
All right, so Jesse, y'all conferred on him this prestigious award. Well, you're going to put the play into print. Like that's your role, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The award has been running for almost 20 years. Keegan is, I believe, the 17th winner of the prize. Um,
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's a really exciting and really a joy for me to get to work on at the press. It's a partnership with the David Charles Horn Foundation, which sponsors the prize, and it's devoted to an emerging playwright, an emerging voice who's never had a fully staged production, professionally staged production before. And so what's exciting for us about it is that it's international. And so we get, I think, around 2,000 submissions from all over the world. I think Keegan, your year, we had 55 countries, representatives from 55 countries. And our judge, who this year, Keegan's year, is Jeremy O. Harris, himself a graduate of Yale Drama School, chose Keegan's play, This Dry Spell. And so for us, and for me in particular, it's a real joy to get to work with emerging playwrights and help bring their work into print. And I think the prize is exciting because most prizes don't print plays. To have your play printed is very difficult. And I think there's something very democratic and community building about publishing. So
Thank
we're
you.
going to celebrate Keegan on
Hey,
Friday.
so Keegan, do you submit or does somebody tap you on the shoulder and say, I think you should submit for this, or I think your play
Um,
would be perfect for this?
well, I submit everywhere. Part of writing is constant submission and often tidal waves of rejection. Like sometimes you'll wake up to 3 or 4 emails, like they all got together from around the world and said no. So it's a really rare privilege to wake up to an email that says, "Guess what? Jeremy O. Harris liked your play." Um, I I submitted to this, and the only thing that I thought was, well, it'll be another one of those beautiful rejection letters you get, and it's just been a thrill ever since I received the news. Totally surreal, which is right up my alley.
Oh, I love this story because a lot of submissions went through. Like a lot of people submitted, and yours got picked. I mean, what is that like? Like, what is that like for you? Because you work in a lot of mediums, so I'm sure you got like a film project and another project and all these projects, and then you get this. What does this mean to you?
Oh, I mean, it means everything to me. This play has been a labor of love. I started writing it 2 years ago, in my writing group. I've been in a writing group through Zoom, for 4 years now. And it's been a dedicated cohort of people who receive pages every week, and give me feedback. Originally, I wrote a poem. I kissed a stranger in a bar, which is how all great art starts. And I left the interaction thinking that I was a cactus, and I was like, I'm obviously not a cactus. But I wrote a poem about it, and my writer friend said, well, maybe this is a play. And I was very defensive and said, no, it's a poem. I'm also a poet. Um, and then it needled at me a little, until eventually I just kept putting down pages. And this play is deeply personal to me. It's about my gender expression and my journey as discovering how I fit into the world as a non-binary person. In a world that is increasingly aggressive to people who don't conform to binary ideas of gender. And the cactus is just a nice little metaphor that is expansive and doesn't necessarily speak to just gender identity. People have come up to me with lots of different interpretations.
So how do you walk through the world, Keegan, as a non-binary person, human, and knowing that the world is so aggressive and so and there's lots of joy in the world, don't get me wrong, but there's an undercurrent of meanness around
hmm
binary, gay, queer. I mean, all of that stuff. How do you walk in the world and stay sane?
I don't know that I do. I try to bring a lot of sunshine and joy to everything because a lot of I work in food service, as my survival job, and so I have like hundreds of interactions with strangers every week where their first response to me is kind of like, "What's going on here?" sometimes. Until they get to know me, and I'm a multifaceted, funny, silly, artistic person. And I'm a lot more than just the surface level, and we all are. And that's the thing that keeps me sane, or at least functionally sane, is being able to forge connections with people, despite the fact that there are some people who are not open to that.
Mhm. And so, how important is representation to you? As a person of color, I get how important representation is when you walk into spaces or watch a film or at a play and you want to see yourself in those spaces. What does that mean to you?
It's interesting because lots of media about non-binary identity or just gender non-conforming individuals, it's very heavy-handed representation. That's like, my pronouns are this, and like there's an aggression to it. And when I came to this play, one of my goals was writing a play that happens to have non-binary characters, but it's not like the capital, like bold-face point of the play, because our lives are not about our gender identity. Our lives are about many things, including love and sex and music and art. And those are the things that I wanted to highlight with the play, is that our lives aren't issue driven all the time. There's a lot of room for nuance and complexity that extends past one topic.
Mhm. So Jesse, for you to print this play, what does that mean for y'all? Like, does this? I, I mean, it's a he's they are a multifaceted playwright. And what's the history of interesting playwrights that y'all have had opportunity to publish?
I mean, so many. We've, Keegon's the 17th that we've gotten to publish in the prize, and all of the playwrights are really wonderful and very different, and are playing with different forms of representation, different ways of representing language on the page. You know, so for me as an editor, I love Keegon's play because it's both a painting and a poem in addition to being a play. On the page, it's arranged like a poem, and some of the stage directions say the characters never fully leave, the scenes blend into each other, and one of the characters is an art teacher, their students painting in the play. So there's a lot that happens on the page that I also find really beautiful. So for us, I mean, every play is different. Every play is its own kind of unique formation. And so for me, it's so much fun to get to work on them and to get to publish them. And I get to explain them to all of our my colleagues who go on and sell the books, who talk about, you know, who talk to radio hosts like you, Babz, and kind of bring the plan, bring the work out to people. So when it's really exciting, when it's really interdisciplinary, those are the things that I love the most. So Keegon's great. I'm thrilled.
I'm
Thanks.
convinced. So Keegon, when you do this play and you're having a reading for the Artistic Congress, which is way cool. What do you want people to know about this? I mean, do you, as a playwright, do you think about how are they going to receive this, or do you just put it out there and let the chips fall where they may, or do you feel some kind of way about what you hope the message will be and what you hope they will get out of it?
I like to have confidence in the audience, you know. The play is complicated, and it celebrates the messiness of living and like pursuing romantic relationships, especially today when it feels like kind of like apocalyptic everywhere. um and that absurdism is definitely present within the play. I I feel like people are going to walk away feeling like they saw something really beautiful. At the very beginning of all of it, I like to write plays for that speak to what I want to see. And so I like to think I'm a discerning audience member as well. So I think it's an exciting thing to put a person transforming into a cactus on stage. It speaks to a longer tradition of magic happening, just like the world of like Tony Kushner or Sarah Kane, these like larger than life things. And this is why we go to see theater, is to experience some sort of ascension to a different level. At least for me, I like to see magic.
I love that. So, when did you know that you were queer and different and non-binary and all the things that you step into and own for yourself? When did you know?
Forever ago. I loved to play with Barbies when I was a kid. I loved to play dress up. I remember I went to Disney World with a little like Jasmine Barbie, and I got to meet Jasmine. There's this adorable photo of me holding Jasmine with Jasmine. And I would put on wigs and go out in public, and my parents would say, "Oh, Keegan's being a pirate." And I'm like, I'm wearing an Esmeralda wig, you know, like I was like, I'm not being a pirate, you know. And so these things they become really obvious to you, even in the ways that things are not like actually addressed. The queer youth, like we're often aware that we're different before we have the words to define how we're different. And I mean, like that only gets further amplified in like a place like Tennessee, a place I love, but it's interesting because you have to minimize lots of your expression in order to survive, and that's true even today.
Hmm. And so, did you feel supported, and did you feel that you had folks around you who are like, we accept this. This is we love Keegan. Keegan can be
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I mean, it wasn't always perfect, you know, because we're all growing and learning. And I think that's the part of the struggle of every family that has someone who's going through this, especially for the first time. We're not all equipped with like a rule book or we're expected to know exactly how to help or support the best way that we can. I will say that when I moved to Chicago, I was so fully embraced by the drag community here. And that really gave me a lot of the vocabulary and the bravery to explore with my own gender expression and truly own for the first time, like who I was. And I will say also that that was also amplified by my writing community when I was at Northwestern. I was in graduate school and also like pursuing a drag career and doing lots of weird like public performance art things in addition to my writing, and all of that like blends together in a way that makes it just I don't know, like just a joy to live this kind of life, you know?
So having your play printed, what exactly does that mean, Jesse? Like people can buy it or put it on, perform it? Like what's the story?
Yeah, they sure can. They can do all of that. They can buy it. I believe that they'll be able to buy an ebook of it even. They can perform it, and that's the hope, you know. I think there's something so connective and so wonderful about publishing. I mean, of course, I'm an editor, so but I really believe that publishing is a kind of community good in the way that, you know, Keegan spoke about theater as being a kind of community good. I think there's something magic when you gather people together in the theater for performance, and for people to come together and tell a story and to create something. And I also think there's something magic about being able to share the kind of expression of your art with other people all over the world. Like we have no idea who the readers are sometimes. Like we can track sales and
Mhm.
whatever, but you never know who's going to read something. You know, you think about any of us, like we pick up a book in a bookstore, we go see a play one time, it might change your life, right? The author might never know. Um, but I think there's something also magic about that. So
It's not lost on me that a lot of the plays that I got to read when I was growing up were like me huddled in the corner of like a Barnes and Noble reading like Edward Albee's The Goat or Who is Sylvia, which is not exactly the kind of thing that you're going to be exposed to in Memphis, outside of published plays. And you know, we can talk about whether or not I should have been reading it or not, but I'm very fortunate to have grown up in a house where my mom encouraged me to seek out challenging art and especially reading. I was never limited to what I could read. So often, teachers were like, "Are you sure you should be reading Prozac Nation?" and and I was like, "I don't know," uh, but here I am.
I love that because Edward Albee was the first judge of the drama series, so we've come full circle. That's so
Oh, I
perfect.
love
Yes.
that.
Oh,
That's amazing. So, Keegan,
it,
what do you make of all this book banning? Because it seems to me books were was your superpower. You know what I mean? Like you could be in the
mhm.
library somewhere and get a good book no matter what it was. What do you make of this book banning?
I mean, the limitations that are being put on language are also really disturbing to me. I mean, the legislation in Florida that speaks to like not being able to say the word gay is
Mm.
very interesting to me as someone who grew up out of the closet when I was in high school, and I was a little brat as well. Like I remember being in sex ed classes saying, "This doesn't apply to me. Where's the curriculum that applies to me?" And I see this reverberate to today. I just was meeting with some other young artists, and they were lamenting the fact that there was no good sex education for them as a queer kid growing up either, and they're like 10 years younger than me. I don't think that there's anything that no good comes from banning books or words. I think that it's important to have access to resource, like whatever resources you want, and then also challenging resources that don't necessarily align with you, you know, or what you believe. I read plenty of things that I close the book and I go, not for me. I don't agree with that. But I think that's also an important part, to be able to put those ideas out into the world is
Mm.
vital.
Do you feel like a role model? I mean, do you accept that label? Do you step into it? Do you lean into it?
Sure, I own it. I love it. I am a voice for the people. Sure.
All right, so you make films,
Yes.
you sing and dance. Sing and dance?
So yes, I did take a contemporary dance class once. And I got an A minus. It was a lot of twirling. And you know, I'm learning to love my body as a collaborator rather than a prison.
Mm, mm.
You know, um, yeah, I do all of that.
So would you say that playwriting is something you will keep doing? I mean, you got this prestigious award now. Now you gotta, soar,
Yeah,
soar.
I think unfortunately I can't stop even if I wanted to. I just had a cohort meeting for a new play program that I'm in. I'm writing a play about platypuses. And yeah, so it's just it's in me and I can't stop, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I don't know. I think it could be fortuitous.
So does this prestigious award change your life? Like, does it open more doors? Does it get you in other
Yeah.
spaces?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I won't name the theater, but earlier this year I got a rejection letter and I said I emailed them back and I was like, please, can I just like sit in the room? I have never been in a professional theater rehearsal room and I want to be there and I want to soak it all up. And they said, no, that's fine. And I was like, wow. And for me, it's all about like community building and uplifting. So it like changes my life. It did change my life. I was shaking, I was crying, I was like, this is unbelievable. I sent Jeremy O'Harris a message saying it felt like he resuscitated me. And it's, you know, I can't put into words just how much it means to me. It's really life changing.
Hmm. So you're doing this reading, you're having a reading, a full-on reading of your play. What's that like? Like, tell me about that experience. And who's directing this?
It's beautiful because it's actually a lot of my friends from Memphis are going to be in the reading. And one of my classmates from the University of Memphis, Brian Fruits Esparza, is going to be directing, and he directed me in a production of Medea where he cast me as a woman like a decade ago. And so he's been down with the gender fluidity of Keegan for a long time. Uh, and my college roommate Shakira is going to be playing the central role, and one of my classmates from Northwestern is also going to be in it, and I have a drag performer in the mix as well. Having your play read before a group is always like really overwhelming. So I'm anticipating tears again, but happy tears, you know, and it's just very exciting.
Oh, I love it. So I take it, Jesse, you'll be in the room for this. Like, you'll be
Absolutely.
at the performance. So,
Absolutely. And everyone can be. It's free. It's at the Schwartzman Center on the 25th at 7:30. I think you can register for the event, and we'd love to have everyone join.
and this is part of the artistic congress that is the collab between the Schwartzman Center and Long Wharf Theater.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's right. Yeah, and it's really exciting too, and really a joy for us to get to the prize has been the staged reading has before usually happened in New York City, once it happened in London, but it's really great for us to get to kind of bring it home back to New Haven and make it really a part of the community. And Long Wharf Theater is such a great part of New Haven's theater scene. They're so interested in theater as a form of democracy, and that's the kind of goal of the whole weekend of events. So this is kind of Keegan's staged reading is one of the big kind of central features of the Congress. So it's exciting for us.
So, Keegan, is this the first time you'll hear it out loud performed?
It's actually going to be the third time, but it's going to be the first time hearing this iteration. Every time there's a reading, I change things.
I was just gonna ask you, every time, do you keep messing with this play as people work on, as people perform it, and you're like, oh no, I hear something else, or oh no, I gotta do this.
I'm driving my actors crazy because we had a Zoom read through recently, and I took like 1,000 notes because it is a play that I've been working on for 2 years, and I've worked on other things in between. And obviously, I'm not going to change it dramatically because I like to honor where it comes from and where I look at plays when I that I wrote when I was 19, and I'm obviously there are things you want to change, but you have to accept that it's part of your journey and your growth as an artist at times to let things stay. Um, but yeah, I've been sending little like snippets of dialogue to my actors saying, "What do you think about this? What do you think about this change or this idea or this word shift?" And that's the beauty of theater, is that it is a living document. It's meant to be performed, and the actors are collaborators in that. And all of the best actors I've worked with have improved the scripts by bringing themselves to it.
I like that. That's a good way to think about it. Now, are you in a community of other playwrights? I mean, I know you have your writers group, but writers
Hmm.
groups could be people who are just working on other kinds of things. But are you in a community of playwrights where they're up and coming, y'all are up and coming? Because it seems to be a renaissance of playwrights right now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the people that I went to school with, I'm still in touch with my classmates from Northwestern, like Sophia Whites and Megan Monero, people who are out there doing really important stuff, not just in their theater work, but they're also, up and coming voices in television. Even a lot of the finalists, like one of the blessings of being a winner is like getting to read the other finalists'
Oh.
plays. Um, Particularly Reed Pope. I read their play Amino, 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 Amino about this like food company and with like apocalypse happening around them. And I just was so thrilled by that play. And I find the world of playwrights right now, we're all kind of grappling with the the current ecosystem not necessarily being like one that's welcoming to like unexpected and adventurous new work, because theater is struggling,
Mm.
and it's easier to do often like a production of The Sound of Music than it is to do something that's like a queer cactus love story. And I don't know. There's nothing wrong with doing a production of The Sound of Music, but I find that yeah, the playwrights that are coming up right now, we're dealing with like existential questions for our lives, as well as like theater and its life as it goes on.
Hmm. I do you notice the changing landscape in theater goers, and their
Hmm.
taste?
Definitely. And the pandemic was also a factor of this. I mean, it blocked a lot of people from doing performance in traditional spaces, which is a blessing and a curse in many ways. During like 2020, we were all confined to Zoom theater, which in some ways was actually a really democratic process because it could connect theater makers from all over the world. And I found that to be like a really kind of barrier breaking idea. Uh, I do think that like engaging younger people is going to be really, really vital to building a future audience for theater. Instead of producing things that are safe, we have to produce things that are challenging.
Mm, mm, So Jesse, does that when Keegan says stuff like that, does that push you to think about what y'all publish and what y'all put out that might be a little bit more different and exciting and new?
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, and I couldn't agree more. Our earlier conversation about book bans, I think are so problematic. I think books and ideas should challenge us. I think the world is challenging. It's full of challenging things we all have to deal with. And so I think the more voices we have, the better. And so at the press, along with the drama series, I also oversee we have a new Black Lives biography series, which is doing all kinds of different work, from biographies of 19th century abolitionists whose stories haven't been told but should have been, and should be widely known, to more experimental biographies of amazing performers and activists like Abby Lincoln, whose stories also haven't been told, right? And I also
I was a huge I'm still an Abby Lincoln fan.
She's amazing.
I used to work press for her back in the day.
Did
So
you really?
Oh, wow.
yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
amazing. All
Yeah.
right, well, we're gonna have to talk again when that book comes out. It's
Yeah.
being written by this wonderful author named Harmony Holiday, who writes a lot about music, and writes really beautiful, beautiful experimental prose, very similar to Keegon's in style, always kind of pushing the boundaries of how we tell, what kind of stories we tell, who we talk about, what ways we can represent things on the page and to each other. So yeah, I'm always inspired. And I'm so thrilled to know that you worked with Abby. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, just
I
kind of,
think,
small. I worked for Terry Williams, who
Uh-huh.
came out of Essence, and so
mm,
Abby was one of her clients. And so I got assigned to sort of be the intermediary between, all the things. And she was just, you talking about consummate and just phenomenal. Like she is amazing. She was amazing, amazing woman.
Yeah,
So
mm,
anyway,
amazing. Yeah, always a joy, as you know, to work with amazing, incredible artists, So
yes.
this is the funnest part of my job.
I can imagine. So Keegan, so you're coming to New Haven. Let me give you a couple of
yes.
things. Make sure people make you have pizza here because New
Yeah.
Haven is the
Okay.
pizza capital of the country. So you can't leave without picking a pizza.
Okay. I mean, I'm passionate about barbecue, Memphis barbecue being the best in the nation. So I'm open to the idea of Connecticut pizza.
So
Like,
come.
I'll,
I don't
yeah.
know if our barbecue game is tight, but
That's okay. That's okay. You don't have to challenge the 901. We can hold on to something.
I'm gonna let you have that. I'm gonna let you have the Tennessee barb because I know how good it is. And when I talk to my North Carolina friends and my Texas friends, so
I know.
I know the fights with the barbecue. So
I know it. Oh God, don't I know it?
well, I want to welcome you to the city. I hope you have a
Thank
really good
you.
time. I'm delighted. Congratulations on this prestigious honor.
Thank you.
And I hope that everything that you want happens for you and that you have a good time.
Thanks. You know what? I want to wish you the same. That's
Thank you.
that's that's a lovely. I hope everything, all your dreams come true, please.
Thank
I
you. And
love
it was
that.
lovely meeting you, Jesse. I hope we talk again.
Likewise, I'm
I'm,
sure we will
I'm
about
very
Abby
interested
more.
in that in the Black Lives stuff.
Yeah,
That would be wonderful to have that a larger conversation. But
absolutely.
right now, Keegan is the person of the hour, and let them fetch you and celebrate you and enjoy every minute of it, and stop messing with your play. Let it.
I'm done messing with it. I promise. I only made it more beautiful. Seriously.
Oh, well, good, good. And it was lovely to meet you. Thank y'all for your
Thank
time
you.
this morning.
Thank you so much.
All
Thank
right.
you.
I'll see y'all on the 25th, hopefully.
Okay,
Yes.
good. I hope so.
Okay. Thank you, Harry Jones, for a wonderful show. I'll be back tomorrow. And y'all feel free to jump off if you want. Although you